Welcome to Amul's 519th day of the world's largest, longest running live recipe show. I'm here thanks to Bosco College Hospitality Studies and Amul India. I am Taruna. I run a home baking business by the name Lush by Taruna, and I'm going to be showing you how to make an eggless vanilla cake and some decadent chocolate frosting to go with it. So we can have a look at the ingredients now. So I have 3/4 cups of yogurt. I'm using Amul Premium Dahi. I have 1/4 cup of milk, 1/4 cup of refined vegetable oil. You can use any flavorless oil. I have a teaspoon of vanilla essence, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I have 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour or maida and 1/2 cup of caster sugar. In case you want to use powdered sugar, you would use 3/4 cups of powdered sugar. So this is a very simple recipe, all wet ingredients together, all dry ingredients together. I have already sifted my flour, so we'll just get started. Done. So into my bowl of yogurt, I'm going to add 1/2 cup of caster sugar, or you can also call this superfine sugar. Quarter cup milk, quarter cup oil, and a teaspoon of vanilla essence. I'm going to whisk these together. You need to make sure that the caster sugar is nicely incorporated with the rest of the ingredients. Now in my bowl of dry ingredients, I have my 1 1/4 cup, that is 1/4 cup maida, आधा छोटा चम्मच baking soda, एक चम्मच baking powder, और 1/4 चम्मच नमक. You need to sift all these ingredients together. I have already sifted my flour, so I'm just going to give it a good mix to make sure that all the ingredients are incorporated well. Now you can add this in parts to your wet ingredients, and you can use the cut and fold method, but I'm going to show you a very quick method of doing this. I'm just going to add all my dry ingredients into my wet ingredients in one go, and then I'm going to whisk them together. I'm scraping the bowl and going in again. We do not want to overmix this, but at the same time we do not want any lumps in our batter. Always remember, it's dry ingredients into the wet ingredients and not wet into dry. If you see, we have got a smooth batter which is lump free. If you do it the other way around, you're going to end up with a lot of lumps and you'll have to overmix your batter. So we have mixed our batter and it's ready to go. Just give me a minute. I forgot to mention, I have already kept my oven to preheat at 180 degrees for 10 minutes. So I'll show you how to prepare your pan for baking. Just take a little bit of oil and brush it around. You want to make sure you have the entire pan coated, but you do not want excess oil. So my pan is well oiled. In this, I'm going to pour in some all-purpose flour. And I'm just going to shake it around to make sure that the pan is evenly coated. I will not touch my hand into the pan at all. And I will dust off the excess flour. So just see, I am dusting the flour around the pan, but making sure that it's completely coated from all sides. And now I will just, and you have a perfectly coated pan. Okay, so your cake, your batter is going to yield 540 grams of sponge. You can either bake the entire batter at once, or you can put this in two separate tins, so you have your layers ready. This is a 6-inch tin that I'm using. So I'll get about 3 inches tall layer of vanilla sponge. Now to make sure that your sponge doesn't rise from the center, we are going to do two things. We will just move a palette knife around to make sure that we are breaking any bubbles that have been formed in the batter. And secondly, we will bang our tin on the table. If you can see, it's releasing the bubbles. That's it. You can see bubbles have been released. And now I'm going to put this in the oven for 20 minutes. For 30 minutes. After 25 minutes, you're going to check if your cake is done or not. You will be doing the skewer test, or you can put a knife into the middle of your pan. If it comes out dry, you know that your sponge is ready. in the meanwhile, you can tell me if there are any questions. So now I'm going to show you how I make the ganache. The ganache is a very simple recipe. I'm going to use 2 parts chocolate and 1 part of fresh cream. I'll be using Amul's fresh cream. So I'm taking 100 grams of pure chocolate here. And 50 grams of cream. So I need to make sure it comes up to 150 here. Now you can do this in 2 ways. Either you can use the double boiler method or you can do this in the microwave. If you're melting your chocolate in the microwave, melt it for 30 seconds at a time. Since the quantity is less, it doesn't really need that long. Our ganache will be ready in just 30 seconds. You want to be gentle when you mix this because it's become too hot. If we mix it vigorously, the chocolate will split and we'll have the fats separate. So very gently we'll mix in the cream into our chocolate. I've used dark chocolate here. You can use milk chocolate as well, as per your taste preference. If you have any questions, you can put it in the comment box. So you can see we have a very smooth ganache here that we will use to cover our cake. have some cake layers that I baked in advance so that I can show you an easy decoration. And I prepared some ganache as well. This is the consistency that you are looking for. If you leave your ganache at room temperature, I would say about 20 degrees, so you'll need to keep it in an air-conditioned room for about 3 to 4 hours. You will get a nice consistency. So I'm going to take a little bit of ganache, apply it to my board, and stick on the first layer of the sponge. If you see, the sponge is pretty soft and fluffy. You can easily swap this recipe, swap some ingredients in the recipe to make a chocolate sponge. All you'll need to do is, instead of quarter cup of all-purpose flour, you'll add quarter cup of good quality cocoa powder. I will just soak the cake layer with some simple syrup. I've used brown sugar and hence my simple syrup is brown in color. This will help to keep your cake moist. In a zigzag motion, you will apply the frosting. Very carefully. You do not want to lift off your spatula because you will end up carrying some of the crumbs of your sponge as well. Now at this point you can add any kind of filling or toasted nuts just to enhance the flavor of your cake. And then I'll keep the second sponge over it. Just making sure that it's perfectly aligned. And I'll soak the sponge as well. Be careful not to over soak it. You do not want to give your customer a soggy cake, or if you're making this for yourself at home, you do not want to bite into a soggy cake. I'll go in with another dollop of frosting. And again, in a zigzag motion, I'll apply the frosting to my sponge. And now I'll go on to the sides of the cake. You will go little by little. You do not want to drag the crumbs around. And neither do I want to have crumbs in the rest of my ganache. So slowly, slowly and swipe. So if you notice, I am not lifting off my palette knife at all. I'm just doing a swiping motion. just going to make sure I have a even coat all around my sponge. Now when I'm swiping on the top, I need to make sure that my palette knife is clean. Don't be disheartened if you do not get this in the first try. I'm just going to clean off the cake board to give it a nice finished look. And a very easy trick to get a fancy looking cake. You can take your silicone brush and just keep lifting it upwards while you turn your turntable around. If you're not happy with it, you can go once again with your brush. I think that looks okay, and we can do the same thing on the top. Now to garnish this, I'll add some gold drip. This is easily available at any baking supply store. Some sprinkles, different sizes. Cute little happy birthday topper. So there you have it, an eggless vanilla sponge with decadent chocolate frosting. So do we have any questions? have any questions, you can leave it in the comment box below and I shall get to them as soon as the live is over. You can follow me on my page Lush by Taruna. I give you a lot of baking tips and tricks that will help you in your baking journey. Hope you all enjoyed this. And
Yummy looks good. Yummy looks good. Yummy looks good.
Thank you for your comments. Have a great weekend.